AI automation currently runs at 1 million searches a month, and it may just be the most oversold phrase in business today. Here's the thing, there's a part nobody's telling you. There are two completely different things hiding underneath this AI automation. One is cheap, boring, and bulletproof, and you're probably not using it. The other one can absolutely torch your reputation if you bolt it on wrong. By the end of today's video, you'll know exactly which one your business needs and stop overpaying for the wrong one. Hey guys, I'm Paul.
I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the Blueprint Automation Systems.
Welcome back to the AI Dictionary, where we put one piece of AI jargon in plain English every week. Last episode, we compared the big AI assistants, ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, Gemini, and today we talk about what happens when you connect that AI to the rest of your software and let it run. That's automation. And the phrase AI automation is hiding two very different things, and we're gonna split it in half.
All right, regular automation, boring but bulletproof. The rule, when X happens, do Y. That's it. A form gets submitted, so add this contact to my CRM and then send them a welcome email. Probably a lot of you guys have this stuff in place already.
Yeah, or like when a payment clears, it sends the receipt and updates a spreadsheet. You know, it's very, very deterministic. You get a known same input and it produces the same output every single time. There's no real thinking involved. It's very much just a formula or a flow chart of events.
Systems like Zapier, Make, N8N, these were already built to do exactly this. My business uses a CRM called Spark. It has a lot of these very simple, not overcomplicated automations built in, as reliable and as straightforward as a hammer is meant to be.
That's right. And most owners are barely scratching what this alone can do. It's not super sexy, it just works.
True.
All right, now we're going to talk about the other half of that, and that's AI automation. And this is kind of just the one that will think and do things and make judgment calls. So this is when you drop an LLM or an agent into one of those steps.
When you get a lead form that comes in, the AI actually goes and reads it and then decides what to write, creates a personalized reply instead of a boilerplate one, and then potentially sends it on your behalf instead of you having to take that step.
That's right. But in keeping in mind too, like when you add AI automation, that also adds unpredictability. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a rule or what we talked about previously, right? It will just do the same thing every single time when it gets a known input. An LLM might not. And that's kind of that trade-off is if you want something a little more intelligent that actually thinks and takes varied action depending on what it reads or what it understands, an LLM is a great tool for that or an AI agent, but that is that trade-off, is that unpredictability there.
Small business owner insert here. You've had an employee that's been there for 3 months. You thought they were kind of squared away, and then they give a client or a customer an absolutely dumb statement, response, or something, and now you're having to unwind this as opposed to hold up to something you can't hold up to. Think of it like that, right? The good news is the more training that you do to that employee, the more training you give your LLM, the less likelihood of that, but we'll talk about some of those possible mistakes in the future.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about kind of like that full tech stack and how they all work together, right? And so the part that clicks for most owners are the tools, right? And there's a couple of them out there like Zapier, however that's said, Make, N8N, and those, think about those are like the pipes, right? And they connect all your apps and they move the data between those apps. And that can be tools like your CRM or your email client. And then it links those together with that AI layer, like your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini, etc. And those are basically the brains that handle all of that one step that needs some judgment to do a thing.
So you use the term stack. Can you walk that real quick before we keep going down this path?
Yeah, so when we talk about like a tech stack, it's basically like all of the digital tools or, you know, whatever, any tool in your business and how that all goes together to perform the functions, right? So you've got your email and your whole G Suite, right? Your calendar and things like that. You might have some of like the Zapier or Make or N8N that's taking information from these tools and sending it over to another tool like your AI, all of those things, all of your software, your CRM, all of your layers, that's kind of like a big tech stack.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about putting them all together. Your lead or a lead to your business fills out one of the forms, the tool catches it, AI analyzes it, reads their answer, starts writing a personalized reply, and personalized being a big key thing here. The tool then sends it and logs everything into your CRM. The best systems today, again, we're talking today, guys, right, are hybrids. Boring, reliable, rule-based software for predictable X plus Y equals Z. AI doing a lot of thinking and customizing based upon the input that you have given it, which does have a lot of variability to it. So you don't make the whole thing smart. Again, today, we all know this is changing rapidly. You are the one who has to make the one smart step along the way.
All right, so let's talk about kind of what some of those tools look like right now. And so all three of the big platforms that we just mentioned have AI built in now, and they're not really bolted on solutions. So like Zapier, they added Zapier Agents, so it has its own little interaction, so it'll act across thousands of different apps. And also just to take a quick step back, because I don't know that we mentioned it, but like Zapier, Make, N8N, those are all just almost like intermediary softwares or translation softwares. It takes information from here and translates it, or translates it? Transfers, whatever, and sends that information over to another piece of software that those two pieces of software wouldn't normally be able to talk to each other without that go-between piece of software. And so when we're talking about some of those tools, that's what we're referring to, is that kind of go-between. Now, we've talked in previous episodes about APIs and MCP connections, and that removes the need for some of those intermediary tools like Zapier. So it'll actually connect your email with your CRM directly, and it doesn't require that kind of Zapier system.
Right.
But there are still reasons to put some of those other tools in place. Sometimes it's a visual layer, so you can watch. And that's the nice thing about, like, say, N8N, is you actually set up that entire workflow with little nodes along the way, and you can watch. You hit go, and you watch the information travel from node to node to node to node and process that information correctly. So I just wanted to define that a little better.
N8N, my understanding is it's one of the favorites for builders.
Yes.
Has its own hostable option, has its own dedicated AI that they released earlier this year, I think, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to hear this agentic automation terminology everywhere. It's this year's buzzword. It just means that stringing agents together into a full process instead of one task. So Ryan just mentioned, you kick the ball off, this agent talks to this agent, which then we're going to talk about Maestro bots and all the other things in the future. Something knocking off that domino effect, and they're all working together in a string. That's what we're kind of talking about. Real, honestly, a little heavily hyped today. You're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? It can be done. It does exist. You can stand this up. Just understand it's not quite as easy as we would like it to be yet.
Yeah, and it does a lot today, right? And the point's not specifically the tool names. It's that you can describe, like, and I say you as in like us as users, you can describe what you want in a sentence now, and the software drafts it and builds that tool chain. Genuinely useful if you're not technical.
I'm right here.
And still needs some, this process right now today still needs someone who knows what good looks like. And we talk to a lot of people that have used these tools, and they're like, well, I talked at it for a while and it didn't give me the result I'm after, and things like that. And that's because, and in one of our episodes, we'll talk about prompt engineering. And that's when how you talk to your AI system to build these tools matters. And eventually that line will get more and more blurred, where you can just kind of talk at it and it'll interpolate what you're saying into an actual tool. Right now, it requires somebody that pretty much knows what they're doing and understands where you should put in the boring automation, like those if-then statements, versus actually having an AI agent or an LLM in place. And we'll talk about that in a sec.
I think one of the best things you said there from the small business owner perspective, like, I know what good looks like for my business. I don't necessarily know what good looks like. You know, I watch videos on this stuff from other creators. I talk to Ryan, and I see these really unbelievably built out second brain, and I'm like, does mine look like that? I'm not sure my actual brain looks like that. I don't know what good looks like until I see it stood up in front of me and explain to me why this is good. And then we go back to mine. It's like, oh, this is sad. So, but that's part of it. That's part of it. That's what we're here for, to help you guys learn about and put this together.
Yeah, and also one thing to keep in mind there, right, is you're watching videos typically of somebody who's built this over months. And you, like, this is the stuff that the stuff that we're talking about now, people were doing a year ago with AI, right? And so you're getting to see that end result of somebody somebody's blood, sweat, and tears and constantly talking at their AI system. We use a grill me skill right now.
Yep.
And it just keeps asking you questions until it learns everything it needs to learn about a
great.
topic, which is fantastic. But that takes small business owner time to sit down and spend time with it. And small business owners don't have a lot of extra time in their plate. Where if you do, your business isn't doing well, but
If I had extra time, I wouldn't be doing this. Where this system actually, where the rubber meets the road, where it earns its keep, right? So lead follow-up that reads what the lead actually said and replies to that thing, as opposed to what we all use now is a generic templated blast or reply. Review responses. I am not good at this. How many of the rest of you guys are not good at this? Because I just don't want to bother. I don't have time. I don't think of it. Pulling in new Google reviews. AI will draft replies for you, and then a human approves it. I would recommend that, especially something public like Google. I just never reply to Google reviews, and I know I'm supposed to, and I just cannot find the time to make that happen. It's just low priority.
yeah. Same thing with like social media posts. Like I want to be able to respond to everybody that comments on our videos, but without a tool in place that surfaces, like we're on all the platforms, right? And I don't want to have to click into all 6 platforms to see what I need a response to. So that's why we've built in our command center. I actually have an AI agent that goes out and looks at all of those platforms, brings them all back and drafts replies. And so I can tailor the reply, I can adjust the reply, because I still want to be able to make sure that we're responding to each of those individually, but take that legwork off your plate of going to Google and looking at your reviews and things like that.
What about appointment reminders? So messages that actually match what the client is looking for. That can be a big one. Content repurposing.
Yeah.
We're doing this right now, guys.
Yeah.
Literally today, record once, AI drafts the social posts, and a human approves. Ryan has spent a couple weeks building this process out, and it's working really well for us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We feed it a video, it edits the long form video, and then it makes shorts out of those based on criteria we've set for things that we want to put out into the universe there. And it drafts all of the text that goes along with that. And then the tool surfaces all of that for me, because we always want that human approval step, because it's not perfect. And it's still, and also, right, your LLM or your agent is learning from you as you go and giving it feedback. It's learning what you like, what you don't like. Like, don't say game changer. Like certain rules in place, right? So making sure that you get a lot more repurposing out of the thing.
In teaching LLMs and teaching agents, I literally yesterday, I'm working on the voice agent for the academy, and it kept saying kids martial arts. And that is such a generic term. I don't like it. So I went back to the system, created a new prompt, and I was like, I want to hear kids jiu-jitsu or juniors jiu-jitsu, no more kids martial arts or juniors martial arts.
Yeah. And ultimately, right, LLMs, agents, it notices a pattern, and it generates responses based on patterns it's seen in the past. So like, let your AI tool draft it for you to save you the time of typing it out, and then the human can modify it and approve it. And that's pretty much right now, at the current state of AI, that's kind of the sweet spot for most owners right now. All right, so now let's talk about the risks and a reality check a little bit on costs. So reliability is the big one, right? A rule, like the first thing that we talked about, a rule will do the same thing forever, over and over again, forever. An AI step introduces a little bit of variation. Now, it might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, but one bad prompt in the middle of a workflow, it can fire nonsense at every customer who triggers it before you notice. And in our last video, we talked about this a ton, right? Test, or check, recheck.
Yeah.
Test it on a small volume first always before you release it into the wild.
Yeah, I'm doing this right now. Again, a voice agent, the goal is going to be a customer-facing form, a customer-facing tool. I will not, in theory, be standing over the AI agent's shoulder, checking and teaching it in the moment. So I am right now, I'm probably 15 or 30 calls deep testing it, and then iterating, and then testing and iterating it. I will not turn on and send to public until I have had myself test it, my staff test it, Ryan, other people like potential customers who fit that paradigm better than I do, test it and find where the weird bits are. If you put garbage in or minimal in, you're gonna get garbage or minimal out. And like we talked about in a previous video, AI will try to fill the gaps. based upon what it can find on the internet. Have you guys looked at the internet before? Did you find random stuff there that did not make a lot of sense in the real world and you probably don't want attached to your business? That's very much the case.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, right, like, when, you know, as you start thinking about AI and we're saying, well, put a human in place, put a human in place, put a human in place, like, don't think about it like, oh, I'm still going to have to, you know, work with this tool and look at this tool. I use the tool to alleviate 85% of the workload. And then all you need to do is show up and review the things it's doing to make sure that as a business owner, you are, because, and we'll talk about some liability stuff in the next episode, you want to make sure that everything your business is sending out is approved by you.
There's cost to this, right? Literal time, but also resources. Running through every step in an LLM does sound smart. It's not free. I know I've used, whatever the tokens, sometimes the numbers don't make any sense. Have 150,000 tokens, have used 17,000 tokens. I don't know how, but that's I saw it this morning as I was looking at it. I was like, what the hell did I do? At volume, the job might have a very simple rule that can cost many times more pushed through the AI. So just understand that, like, what you're doing that may seem incredibly simple to you, you are teaching. Just like if you had a staff member and you are teaching the staff member, that has a time equation to it, and time is money, right? Same idea here. So if a boring, very simple rule does work, save the AI for something that requires an actual brain.
Yeah, and ultimately, right, when you think about where to put that LLM in place and to talk about token usage, every word or every letter that you send to an LLM and you give it or it outputs costs you tokens. And when you buy into one of these plans with some of these big, AI companies that have plans, and you spend, let's say, $20 a month, you get X amount of tokens. And so every time you talk to your agent and it sends something back to you, it uses up some of those tokens. So when you're having your AI agent work on something at your company, even if it's super simple, like somebody sent me an email and I need to read it and then reply to it and say thanks, that email that it got and the thanks cost tokens. So when you build something that's more formula driven, it's not actually using AI. You're using AI to build that script or that tool that just does the same thing over and over again. But once that script exists, it no longer uses tokens for that step. So that's why we say, like, use the formula stuff where formulas can be used, and then use the LLM where it's necessary. And it's important to make sure you're doing the right thing so you don't start running your business and then all of a sudden you've got a $500 bill at the end of the month because you abused all your tokens running stuff that doesn't really need AI behind it.
Well, and the bigger, the fancier, the more expensive.
That too.
Right? I go back, every time the word token comes up, some part of my childhood pops up, because the place that we used to go play video games, it didn't give you quarters.
Right, you got tokens.
You got tokens. And the analogy is actually pretty good one-to-one, because if I go back to that place, which is where I like to go in New Hampshire, if you go play the old pinball game, it's one token. If you want to go play the new fancy video game that's the AR, it's 12 tokens,
right, exactly.
Because it's more expensive to run and they can frankly soak you for more money. So just same concept here. If it's basic and it's simple, well, then it's probably less expensive. If it's something fancy that does more for you and requires more thinking, that token cost is going to go up quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. And despite all of the hype, right, there's fewer than 1 in 5 businesses that actually have AI agents running today. And I want to state that specifically, have the AI agents running today. A lot of you might look at your business and say, but I've got all this automation stuff over here. I must be using AI to do these things. And that's not necessarily the case, right? Most companies that are using actual AI agents or LLMs in parts of their business or whatever, most of those are fairly early adopters. Small businesses are adopting slowly over time, but everybody's already doing this is marketing and not the actual reality. So while you're not quite behind, if you don't get on board soon, you will be behind, right? And so don't panic too much. You're not the only one not leveraging AI with your business. But now's the time to start thinking about how to get those things in place.
Agreed. We like to give risk rating ratios to these things. We're going to call this one a medium or yellow. Regular automation, very low risk, and you're probably using it already right now. It's underused. Again, if you're using it and it exists, and I'm guilty of this, which is why I'm saying this, it's probably the first place to start and put to work for you, and then see where the missing gaps are. AI automation can add real horsepower behind it, and real unpredictability. Again, I go back to that new or untrained staff member. You put somebody on the phone after a week and you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth.
Right.
So, other
yeah.
pieces.
And like the risk is that reliability and then that runaway cost, right? So if you just let an AI agent go do a bunch of things and then that's like, having your air conditioning run at 65 in the middle of a heat wave, you're going to end up with a massive bill at the end of that month. And that can happen with AI if you're not careful about how it's implemented in your business, right? So having a review gate and a small volume, or small volume testing, it kind of handles both of those things.
Right. So at the end of the day, don't automate just for the sake of automating. Make sure it makes sense for you, your business, your wallet, and where it actually makes sense to apply.
Yeah, and more specifically, right, like don't just automate with AI or an LLM or an agent for the sake of using an AI agent to say, I use AI in my business, right? Like you can build those formula-driven automations. People have been building those for years and years before commonplace AI has been around. Yep. So I'd say don't leverage AI in your business just for the sake of wanting AI in your business because Uncle Johnny said so.
All right, so a reminder, there are two things hiding or used in the umbrella AI automation terminology. Regular automation, you almost certainly have it in your business somewhere right now. It's bulletproof, probably kind of boring. You probably underuse it. Again, guilty, okay? It's easy to fall into like, hey, the humans will handle all these tasks. The system could be doing this too, and it already exists. And then there's the fancy AI automation, really powerful, very flexible, which is cool, with a high level of unpredictability. So that's where we have to be conscious and careful about that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And think about like the tools are those pipes, right? Where information's coming in from all of these different tools and these systems. And the AI is kind of that brain in there that understands what's coming in, where does it route, where does it go. But the best builds are hybrid builds, right? Has a little bit of that kind of regular automation, the boring bulletproof stuff, with some AI automation mixed in where it makes sense. Smart only where it needs to be.
Right. AI drafts, humans approve, strong recommendation there. It's the safe pattern right now. Again, these things are getting better. You're going to trust them more. I will tell you, at least for myself today, that is a safe pattern for almost everything that is customer facing. Yeah. If you're messing around in your own life, go ahead, do your thing. If it's customer facing, you own that. And you're going to hear us talk about some stories in the near future where that has burned some businesses hard, both in terms of customer loyalty, but actual dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So, could you run the whole business through AI automation? Maybe. Should you? Probably not, right? Automate the boring stuff first with regular formula-driven automations, and then add AI to the one step in that process that needs some sort of judgment, and then keep your testing small until you know it works and it's doing all the things you want it to do.
Do you want to break your system faster? The best systems and the best businesses are the ones that are not the most automated. They're the ones that are automated for the right things. Automating a broken process just breaks it faster, right? Running on a flat tire does not make the tire reinflate itself. Fix the system, then look to see what you can take the human out of it in order to buy back your time or create more productivity.
Yeah, exactly. So next episode, we're going to talk about AI hallucinations and the reason why you can't trust everything AI tells you, and some lawyers and companies who learn that the very expensive way.
I'm supposed to feel bad for lawyers. That's going to be hard for me.
Yeah, I know. But we still have to tell other people about it.
That's true.
Speaking of that, so come hang out. We've got a free school community. Links will be in the description. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified when new episodes come out every week. We're doing one of these types of episodes once a week. And then we're also now, starting next week, we're going to also be producing some training content that's going to be specific for the channel and the community. So.
But in school.
But in school.
Well, mostly.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
We'll talk about that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.